It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show.
We just gon' reach for the sky. Gotta get paid for I meet my demise. Yeah, tell him I preach to the choir. Stand on my feet to the fire. Give all the glory to God. Yeah. Tell him I preach to the choir. We just gon' reach for the sky. Gotta get paid for I meet my demise. Yeah. Tell him I preach to the choir. Stand on my feet to the fire. Give all the glory to God. So many times I wonder why nobody gave me the shot. You could be looking at me then go the other way. I'm not understanding the plot. I was the one that was breaking the box. Them doors in front of me picking the locks. Them hoes in front of me hitting them thighs. When foes in front of me sending them shots. Them boys is under me flowing so cunningly. Do it for currency. What do you mean? Growing abundantly numbers and streams. Them labels be calling but I don't receive. I don't respect all that shit you perceive. I hover my check like a wolf in the trees. If I gotta work on my roll on my sleeves, I clock out of work and get back to my queen. God is my witness, I'm grinding. How does the Indian climate? I cover my wrist full of diamonds. If they diss me, I'm willing to risk it. I'm here with a biscuit, it's aimed at your body. I get royalty checks out in China. Niggas know me to flex on my style. I'm performing the set in Jakarta. If he posing a threat, I'm a line. I'm rid of me. Fly out to Italy. Y'all don't not rid of me. Right with artillery. Y'all don't compare to me. I'm the epitome of the rhyming ability. 31 on my shot, they gon' mill me. Pocket watching, I'm snapping no celery. Keep my work in the pile of utility. Knock 'em out like I'm Tyson, no Sicily.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome to another episode of Inside the Industry, and I'm one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everyone's doing well out there this evening. All right, so y'all know we talked about the whole Memphis Bleak, Uncle Murder, Tony Yayo situation yesterday, and in that video, I actually mentioned that Jaÿ-Z 30 has been receiving a couple of new updates. New dates have been added to the, I don't know if they want to call it a tour or not, but to the dates. So I believe London added another date, and LA has also added another date at SoFi. With that LA show coming up, of course, everybody is wondering, is Kendrick Lamar going to come out? Is this going to be that monumental Jaÿ-Z Kendrick Lamar moment? Do we get Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe remix? And some even believe that there may be new music on the way from the both of them that they could be debuting live on stage. I'm not going to put all my eggs in that basket as of yet. It would be amazing if they do. But I'm not sure if it happens. We shall see. And I will welcome it abundantly if it happens, right? But what we do know at this current point is that Jaÿ-Z 30 is not over. There's more dates to come. And they're pretty fluid in how they're treating it because it looks like there could be other dates to come out, all right? So Polestar has a new article and piece out where they talk about the Jaÿ-Z 30 series of shows, the opening at Yankee Stadium. Of course, it really kind of started at Roots Picnic, but Jaÿ-Z 30 really kicked off with the Blueprint and Reasonable Doubt and Extra Innings. Yankee Stadium is really the ultimate show because there's no other artists attached except those that Jaÿ-Z personally invites. So this is his curation. This is his thing at this point, right? Well, Desiree Perez from Roc Nation also talked to Polestar about some of the ideology behind this whole Jaÿ-Z 30 movement, why certain places were chosen, him having a history with these places, in the prospect of further dates being added. Okay, so what we're gonna go ahead and do is share my screen here, and we're gonna go through the piece. Shall we? Cool. All right, so they say inside Jaÿ-Z's Yankee Stadium Grand Slam, how a legend's vision was brought to life. This is the cover story of the new Polestar magazine. This article was put up this morning. Okay. So they say in music history, there are moments when an artist comes along and manages to redefine what a great concert can be. Moments from Beyonce's Formation Tour, the Daft Punk Alive Tour, Public Enemy's Sizzling Summer Tour, shout out Public Enemy, Prince's Purple Rain Tour, amazing. The Jimi Hendrix Experience Worldwide Tour, awesome. Hail the Watch the Throne Tour, all come to mind. Those iconic moments that changed the game arise, sometimes with intention, other times totally coincidental. However, there is that third magical situation where events unfold inexplicably, or as Desiree Perez, chief executive officer of Roc Nation, would call it, God's timing. Perez's storied business relationship with Jaÿ-Z extends 3 decades, with the former booking the latter and the late DJ Clark Kent for a nightclub she managed in 1996. So they're going back to the beginning. People wonder why Desiree Perez has such a powerful position in Jay-Z's empire, because it stems back to pretty much day one. As fate would have it, the two, alongside others, would bring to life a host of ventures, including the original 4040 Club in 2003 and Roc Nation in 2008, where she eventually became CEO. While she tells Polestar that they have seen a lot in their lifetime, Hove's Yankee Stadium finale was unlike anything she or anyone else really has ever experienced. Now remember, the finale was the one that started 4 hours late. So yeah, ain't nobody felt or seen no shit like that. On Sunday, July 12th, after a security breach outside Yankee Stadium, Hove did something few of any artist would have the fortitude, wisdom, and confidence to pull off. He, with his team, decided to delay his Bronx finale's 9 p.m. start time by more than 3 hours, finally taking the stage at approximately 12:17 a.m. Without incident, what was already expected to be a special show became something of legend. All Jigga had to do now was deliver. But as he reminded us throughout the weekend, in between a flurry of hit records, jaw-dropping cameos, and virtuoso performances, that Hove has always faced adversity, and he invariably manages to come out on top, even if that means getting off stage at nearly 3 a.m. Who's waiting 6 hours, 3 outside and 3 during the show, at that hour to watch a show and then feel like this is amazing? Perez tells Polestar, it's just, I don't know that it's ever happened before. That's his greatness. Jay's Yankee Stadium shows illuminated this perspective on his career. Perez continued, and with Sunday, as I'm talking to you, I realize with everything that happened that day, it actually makes you realize how much of an icon he truly is. From July 10th through 12th, Yankee Stadium transformed into a high-octane 3-decade victory lap, becoming the center of the hip-hop universe. But even before those sweltering summer nights came to be, the starting point takes us back to the cold of February, when an idea from Hova morphed into a full-scale year-long production. So this was being brought together back in February of this year, right as he was doing interviews and stuff, said we going on offense and getting the Tony Busby fake allegations, all that shit behind him. He was getting ready to, let's do this. 30 years of reasonable doubt. I'm ready to go back out. Fuck what niggas is talking about. Perez traces the planning back to the moment. Dead Presidents, Jay-Z's 1996 first single from his debut album, Reasonable Doubt, turned 30 in February. As the point, Roc Nation began quietly building toward the stadium run and building out the Jay-Z 30 celebration. We started a couple of months out from the first commemorative moment of 2026, she said, detailing how Roc Nation sat down and began tracking the calendar year, song by song, album by album. The density of Jay's catalog made the timing unavoidable, with much of Hove's catalog clustered in November, a result of a marketing strategy from a different era back when major artists traditionally saved albums for the fourth quarter. 25 into 26 was uniquely packed with dates worth celebrating, including Reasonable Doubt and the Blueprint's 25th anniversary. Reasonable Doubt's anniversary presented a particular challenge. The album was never available on every streaming platform, and it never received a vinyl reissue push, which led the team to create a full experience rather than the single product to commemorate the LP. Enter Jay-Z 30. Under the Jay-Z 30 initiative, Roc Nation's mission was to erect a living, breathing altar to one of the illest MCs to ever hold a microphone and celebrate his massive cultural influence and the business acumen he accumulated on his way to the top. The immersive multi-city year-long campaign includes an array of pop-ups throughout NYC and beyond, marking the milestone of his debut album while celebrating the body of work as a cultural archive. Now, what I was jumping into to say 90, I was thinking when Jay-Z did Imaginary Players, he was like, your single 99 cents, mine was $4. That's what was coming to mind as they talked about the business acumen and the different ways that they were going about their business with their music from the jump, When other artists were just charging $1 to get their single, he was charging $4 for the single, right? And they could do it because they had that independent mindset. One of the standout attractions of the project was the month-long Brooklyn pop-up at Smack Mellon and Dumbo, including a moment that echoed Perez's sentiments about God's timing. After a landlord dispute killed the idea for their first location, the team's backup plan coincidentally turned out to be a building included in the music video for Dead Presidents 30 years earlier. That's dope. I didn't even know they did that at the Dead Presidents set. I could tell you that it was a genius idea over here, but it really wasn't. It was really something spiritual happening. So that ended up being the backup plan, is that they did it where they shot Dead Presidents. Hat Cop can't see his eyes. Who could it be with that new blue Yankee on? Who but me? Y'all know, man. Come on. Once conceptual planning turned toward a live event, the venue conversation was short, sweet, and direct. Omar Al-Julani, president of touring at Live Nation, said the idea really came from S. Carter's vision, with Rock Nation and Live Nation working hand in hand to execute it. Madison Square Garden and Barclays Center were floated, but never seriously in contention once the scale of the moment became clear. And for the man who asserts he made the Yankee hat more famous than a Yankee can, Yankee Stadium became the clear choice, the only choice for the first live element to this celebration. I think you know, ultimately, as you saw by the overwhelming ticket sales and reaction, that this moment was bigger than an arena. I also think Jay rapped about the Yankee cap. The two are synonymous. I think it made perfect sense to take the show straight to the Bronx. So here they get into building and unbuilding a stadium in days. So they're getting into the technical aspect. Excuse me. Turning Yankee Stadium into a concert venue required threading a narrow logistical window. Al-Jelani explained that the calendar break created by MLB's 2026 All-Star Game held this year in Philadelphia gave the Yankees rare flexibility to open the building. The Yanks' last home game would be played on July 5th. From there, the team would embark on an away game tour followed by the All-Star Game in Philly before returning back to the Bronx to face off against the LA Dodgers on July 17th. In other words, Jay, Rock Nation, and Live Nation were free to turn home plate into a throne fit for one of hip-hop's kings. Now remember, earlier in the year, people were saying that he was going to do Madison Square Garden, or they were looking at Brooklyn and what the Nets had going on, and it was like, okay, it looks like they're going to have away games. And I saw this, and I was like, maybe. I didn't think he was going to come out and do no shows. I'm going to be honest. But those that were kind of putting their thinking caps on and looking at it, they ended up being right, although the location that they were looking at was not. When planning this event out, these logistics gave us the ability to get in and get the show built and ready to go for Jay. And then also gave the Yankees time to return home and get the field ready to play the following Friday after we finished on that Sunday. He described the process as one where art meets engineering and science, a coordination process in which Rock Nation and the Yankees organization worked to raise a full-scale show and tear it down again on a tight turnaround. Adding to the difficulty was the innovation of it all. Each date was a genuinely different show, not a repeated set. Perez opined that this was the least appreciated feat of the run that people aren't giving enough attention to. This show is a different show every single night. It's not just the fact that Jay as an artist has to know all those different songs and set lists, right? All of them, everyone, the production, the lighting people, the video people getting everything on different cues. We're making a different show every single night. It's not easy and it's never been done. And something a lesser artist could never dream of pulling off. Perez connected that musical command directly to the culture she said runs through Rock Nation. Leadership is everything, so you create culture with strong leadership, she said, describing how a performer's discipline sets the tone for everyone working beneath the stage lights. Imagine working for Jaÿ-Z. Imagine. He's exceptional. Everything is exceptional. If he can get up there and perform and give that energy to all those people and know all those words and do all of that on 3 different shows in one weekend, down to lighting, video, stage hands, what everyone is watching and taking in is that excellence. Typically, she further explained, touring acts intentionally open in lower profile markets to work out the kinks before hitting big name marquee cities. That is the truth. Now, some do pop off in bigger areas to kind of get a feel for, you know, get a good opening night, but then they start going into smaller B markets and then they work their way into the bigger areas to have the momentum of having good shows under the belt to confidently come out on stage and rock. He went straight to the biggest stage possible, gave him 3 nights and killed it. This run inverted that model entirely. Jigga Man opened cold in one of the biggest markets in the world with the highest stakes and no margin for error across 3 distinct sets built around 2 distinct eras. Reasonable Doubt on night 1, The Blueprint on night 2, and then a career-spanning medley, as Perez called it, on night 3, and 19 different major special guests across all 3 shows with over 90 songs performed. At 56 years old, no less. And didn't look it at all. For the guests invited to perform, the notice came the way it always historically has with Jay. By way of the inner circle, Memphis Bleek, a longtime Rockefeller Rock Nation representative, Hov's little brother, and a Reasonable Doubt era collaborator who appeared on night 1, said the process was as familiar as it was efficient. Excuse me. Bleek explained how a call from Grammy Award-winning producer Young Guru, also the engineer and DJ for Jaÿ-Z, led to his invitation to the celebratory set of shows. Once Guru called me and told me the rehearsal dates, I knew from there. For Malice of the Clips, the call was more Avengers Assemble. Shout out to Malice. Like, and how could you resist a battle cry of that nature? I'd actually just gone on vacation in Orlando with my family when I got the call from my manager, Kevin, who said Jaÿ-Z has requested that we be in attendance and perform at his show. Malice explains to Polestar. I lovingly looked my wife deeply in her beautiful eyes and said, but bae, it's Jay. So he had other things on his plate, clearly, and he had to clear the schedule to make his way out there for night 3. 19 guests, 0 no-shows. As mentioned, across the 3 nights, the guest list ran to roughly 19 features, largely mirrored to each album's original credits. Reasonable Doubt's show featured a beautiful tribute to the late all-time great Notorious B.I.G., Bleak, Jazz-O, and instead of Mary J. Blige for Can't Knock the Hustle, fans were treated to the inimitable Beyonce, Slick Rick, Eminem, and Pharrell for the Blueprint night, and other collaborators tied to Hov's career at large appeared for extra innings. Some appearances were locked in advance. Others, Perez recalled, came together during the weekend itself. That's crazy. At Jay's direction. I think as he creates the show, it's just Jay's doing, she said. He's very involved in every aspect of his creative vision, top to bottom. The feds say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. Additionally, Perez emphasized the show's special guest perfect attendance record. Even as Sunday devolved into seemingly uncontrollable madness, none of the planned surprise guests bailed out. Further speaking to the trust the MC has built up throughout his career. All of them came out. We didn't lose any artists, any features Jay has loved. Because remember, they had to wait over 3 hours to even get out there. Al-Jilani honed in on some of the standout cuts regarding the show's cast of special guests. He recalled some of his favorite moments, pointing to the Eminem appearance, which was very dope. A callback to Jay's earlier Yankee Stadium co-headlining run with M on the Home and Home tour alongside the tribute to Biggie, which was very dope, the way that they moved through the Biggie beats for Brooklyn's Finest, and Empire State of Mind duet with Alicia Keys. Extra Innings was the most star-studded night by far. The special guest list reads like a title-curated playlist, including artists like Beyonce, Usher, Jeezy, Rihanna, Swizz Beatz, Jermaine Dupri, The Clips, Pharrell, The Dream, Tiana Taylor, Fat Joe, and Jadakiss, all of which Al-Jilani feels were unbelievable surprises. I don't think anyone saw this coming, he said. By Sunday, the sold-out run had already broken its own records twice over. Saturday's 45,832 numbers topped Friday's 44,916. So he's out there with 45, then 46,000. And they talking about they was having trouble selling tickets. He's irrelevant. Nobody want to hear no Jaÿ-Z. And Sunday, as noted above, quietly surpassed both to become the best attended, highest selling night of the run per Rock Nation. However, as word spread about the must-see concert, an increase in demand began surging for extra innings, which contributed directly to the chaos that would later unfold outside the gates. To try and address this sudden uptick, Rock Nation posted a press release to its Instagram account on Sunday morning, urging fans to arrive early to tonight's Jaÿ-Z concert at Yankee Stadium, and that guests will be able to line up starting at 5 p.m. and then be allowed to enter the venue at 6, with the show set to begin at 8. But things quickly went awry as showtime approached. Leading up to Jehovah taking the stage, the New York Police Department had to lock down Yankee Stadium after a group of people allegedly without tickets rushed the gates, which we saw footage of. The ensuing disorder resulted in an array of statements addressing the security breach, as previously reported by Polestar. Rock Nation, Live Nation, and Yankee Stadium jointly thanked the NYPD and the stadium security team in a show of solidarity for their leadership and direction throughout the evening, putting the welfare of attendees above all other considerations. Al-Jilani and Perez described a unified, deliberate response. The moment called for less panic, but rather a controlled operation to reopen safely rather than completely shut the night down, as most, if not any other performers would have done. And there's also footage of Desiree Perez herself, the CEO of Rock Nation, literally out in the mess, trying to help people calm down, get themselves composed so that they can make their entry into the stadium. There were no compromises made to the show or to fan safety in that moment, Al-Jilani said. It is really important to everybody that the show played exactly as planned and that there were no safety concerns. He credited Perez directly with the on-the-ground resolution, saying Desiree personally made sure that the gates got reopened safely. That's what I was just talking about. Perez, who worked the gates in person rather than remaining backstage, described the calculation in stark terms, with roughly 25,000 fans already inside and another 20,000 still waiting outside. The number that we heard was 10. They're saying it was 20,000 outside. Walking away was never on the table. It was either walk out or try to make it work, she said. I said, let's just try to make it work. We can't just walk away. Her approach was to work gate by gate, identifying herself to police commanders, not as stadium staff or law enforcement, but as the person authorized to move the crowd. Jay is not performing until you guys come inside. She recalled, reassuring the line. So we need to get you guys inside, but if you push forward, then the police is going to shut me down. So let's work together to make this happen. Malice described the ordeal as pure chaos, even when trying to get into the stadium with the proper credentials. However, no matter the delay or any fines that may have arose as a result, knowing Jay, he knew the show must go on. And that was another part. We saw stars who were literally outside trying to figure out how the hell they was going to get in. We saw ASAP holding the baby, Rihanna coming through. We saw fucking clips. We saw Pusha T outside. We saw Fabulous outside, who didn't come out on stage. But we saw people who we knew were important to the situation that were just as embedded into the commotion as everyone else. Jaÿ-Z finally took center stage, soundtracked by the intro to the 2000s compilation album Dynasty Rock La Familia. The beat, which samples She Said She Loves Me by Clear, rang out throughout the stadium, with Hov commanding the stage with a clear intent to give the people a hell of a show. After the performance, though, Jigga took a moment to speak directly to the audience, explaining the reason why the show still had to go on, no matter how late it was. I didn't want to start the music and get people trampled and hurt during lockdown. Jay explained before apologizing for the inconvenience. I had to make sure everybody was okay, so I appreciate your patience. I didn't want to start a show without everyone here and everyone safe. For Perez, Hov's actions and words that night were the most revealing leadership moment of the entire run. To avoid canceling the show, a decision was made under real-time pressure to never even entertain the thought of rescheduling. It was never we're going to reschedule, she said bluntly, but it was all about number one, safety. So how do we do this safely? That resolve, she said, came directly from Hove, who set the terms before he'd step on stage at all. No partial crowd, no fans left listening from the outside, Yankee Stadium, and everyone in attendance for a good time. Jaÿ wanted everyone inside that stadium, Perez said. We didn't want to have people outside and they could hear him performing. That's terrible. His refusal to perform to a half-filled house wasn't stubbornness in her telling. His decision was the same safety-first instinct driving the gate strategy. Jaÿ's like, well, if we don't get these people inside, we can't do this. That's who Jaÿ is. Al-Jilani framed the same decision through a different lens, the difference between an artist and an executive. Jaÿ's a consummate professional, he said. He's an artist, but he's also a CEO. He has that chairman mindset. He understood what set the tone for the evening and always has. That dual identity, Al-Jilani argued, is precisely what separates Hove from other artists, but also holds the operation together under immense pressure. The Live Nation executive explained that Hove is an artist who could feel the emotional stakes of the night. Paired with an executive's instinct for what the moment actually required, he was able to fully move on both. Perez went further, arguing that few artists working today could have absorbed that kind of temporary blow and still deliver. There's a certain caliber of artists that can do that, she said. Not that many, but he's one of them. She described the specific mental discipline required to hold a stadium's energy after a 3-hour wait. Imagine standing in front of a stage of 45,000 people and keeping them energized, and they're tired because they've been there for 6 hours waiting, and all they could think about is they're supposed to be at work tomorrow. Had a lesser artist been in that position, she suggested, the night might have ended very differently. He may have been at the door saying, oh, what are we going to do? This is not going to work out. It's better if we just reschedule. If the artist is not going to be in the best showmanship mood, they will cancel. This was not one of those moments, which also is dope as well, because imagine being the artist who's scheduled to come out at a certain time. You're building up to this certain time, and then your morale starts getting fucked up, right? You could go out there and completely tank, which didn't happen. Memphis Bleak, watching the delay stretch on from backstage, admitted he'd already written the night off. I thought he was definitely going to cancel the show. It's no way the crowd was going to wait for Jaÿ, Bleak said, but I was wrong. The gap between what a longtime collaborator assumed would happen and what Jigga actually delivered is, in a way, the same story Perez and Al-Jilani both told from the operations side of the night. Everyone braced for the show to break, and it didn't. Perez traced that composure back to something more fundamental about who Hove is under pressure on or off the stage. Everything you see in him from far, he's that, she said with a smirk. This guy's the coolest guy in the world. It's unbelievable. But I think when it comes to any type of, even with whenever things are the worst, that's where the biggest calmness has to come. That's where the precision has to kick in. That's when true leadership shines. That trust wasn't limited to the stage, though it also extended to the partnership behind it all. So they're going to get into Live Nation, Rock Nation. Both executives credited the strength of the run to a working relationship built over roughly 18 years, dating back to Watch the Throne. According to The Hollywood Reporter, beginning in 2008, Jaÿ-Z and Live Nation entered into a 10-year, 360-degree deal worth $150 million that would cover 3 albums, publishing, and other assets, which ultimately helped launch Rock Nation as a joint venture. Then, in 2017, a new contract was inked, superseding the previous deal and creating a new deal focused solely on touring, worth roughly $200 million per billboard. So Live Nation helped them launch the label management staple or whatever. 10 years later, they just worked for touring, no longer having any input on the music side. Al-Jilani called Perez the greatest partner that I've ever had, while Perez in turn said the trust between the two organizations is what allowed Sunday night to be resolved without derailing the show entirely. It all boils down to trust at the end of the day. If there's respect and trust, even when things are bad, you know you're going to get through it. She recounted turning to Al-Jilani mid-crisis to relay word to production because she didn't have a free hand to make the call herself. He did that for me. I think it's critical that the working teams in any environment get along. You're going to get the better product. Al-Jilani situated the run within Live Nation's broader 2026 performance, describing a strong year across stadium, arena, amphitheater, and theater. Touring despite macroeconomic headwinds, live music is the one great escape for people, and they crave that. He said, framing concert going as a comparatively affordable form of escapism relative to travel, sports, or theme parks, one that tends to prove resilient instead of vulnerable when the broader economy tightens. And even in those circumstances, dedicated fans to artists, big and small, illustrate their priorities with their wallets. Now get the fucking pricing under control. Get the fucking bot purchases under control. Get the fucking I'ma buy out 20 rows and resell them bitches for 20 times the value shit under control. Motherfuckers say that I'm foolish. I only talk about Jews. Do you fools listen to music or do you just skim through? Anyway, rather than viewing the delay as a blemish, Perez frames it as a moment that speaks to Ho's dedicated fan base. I think it's almost another testament, like almost another stamp on the paper to certify how much his fans love him. She said, describing the scene at 2:30 a.m. Fans throwing up the rock hand sign, dancing, vibing, cheering, phones lit up like stars in a night Bronx sky across the stadium. It gave me chills. It's almost part of the 30 years. It's almost like the same story, but in the end, showing Jaÿ that no matter what happens and how hard it is, people are gonna have your back. Perez connected the night's resilience to a broader theme running through Hov's career, a career of persistence against structural resistance, citing his history as the first rapper to headline Coachella and the pushback he received before his Glastonbury headline slot. It's almost like a mini story of what his career has been, she said, fighting against all odds, going through all the hardships to become this version of himself. We just put our foot in and say, no, we can do this. Yeah, because they didn't want a rapper headlining. That was a big thing. So Jay took a lot of fucking darts throughout his career. For Al-Jilani, the durability of the fan relationship was the story. Nobody left because everyone stayed to the end. I think it'll make the story and the legend grow deeper. He predicted the night would enter permanent hip-hop folklore in the years to come. It'll be one of those moments where there'll be a million people one day that say that they were there. And the people that weren't there will say they were. True. Especially those of us that tuned in through the motherfucking live streams. Fat Joe and Jadakiss viewed the delay through a historical lens, adding to Jay's list of iconic moments. They feel that the long wait on Sunday ahead of their performance fed into the future legend of that night. Hip-hop has never been professional since the day ones, block parties and the jams. Of course, Fat Joe gonna say that. So the fact that we had to wait extra hours to perform, I knew it was going to be a historical night. We performed on the right night. We on the night they got to talk about for the rest of history. That wait, that delay made it historical, Jada chimed in. It was a beautiful thing that nothing happened. Hov is probably the only person in the world who can have a show delay and nothing bad happens. And y'all know we've been covering Fat Joe, Jada, and that whole 38 Special thing. It's crazy that Jada got to perform with Jaÿ-Z at Yankee Stadium and Special got to perform with motherfucking Hot 97 at Summer Jam doing that weak-ass diss a cappella. Anyway, the 30th, which that Summer Jam, they tried to turn into an anti-Jaÿ-Z situation. They was out there wearing Kaepernick jerseys, Funk Flex and Nessa. It's a whole other thing. The 30th anniversary victory lap continues this fall with the MC bringing his Reasonable Doubt focused show to London's Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on September 4th and 5th, Paris's Stade de France on September 10th, and 2 shows in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium on October 23rd and 24th, markets without Yankee Stadium's built-in symbolism. Al-Jilani and Perez framed the away market shows not as a detriment to the show, but as a different kind of tribute with a different kind of energy. The best players generally bring their A game to their away game, Al-Jilani said, invoking Michael Jordan's Game 6 against the Utah Jazz in Utah back in 1998, where MJ scored 45 and won his 6th championship. I have no doubt that all those other markets will have their own version of magic. Perez described the shift as a change more directly focused on the fans, with similar ambition and scope, even hinting at what could happen regarding special guests. We're going for Jay-Z fans, so now it doesn't become about New York or the Yankee iconography, she said. Jay could do a whole stadium tour if he wanted to. We could go to 20 stadiums. That'd be great. He'd fill all of them. He's just chosen to give a little bit here, east, west. But he's got ties with music in every place, right? Because his music is global. So, Los Angeles, he's done some work over there. The intentional distance, she said, is designed to meet fans who can't easily travel to New York rather than asking the whole fan base to come to him. Asked directly about the SoFi stop, Perez said, her only real logistical takeaway from Sunday is making sure stadium security protocols are locked down well ahead of doors opening. I'm just going to mind my business and I'm going to say hi. I know you guys run the venue, but can I just go over the plan with you? Oh, and when asked more specifically about that hypothetical 20 stadium run and potentially seeing Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg at the SoFi stop, Perez expertly shot back with a laugh. You get no comments from me on any of those things. Yeah, Dre and Snoop is cool because he wrote, it's still Dre Day, nigga. AK, nigga. Though I roamed a lot, can't keep it home a lot. But that ain't the one people looking forward to. Still Dre. We looking for that motherfucking K-Dot. The measure of an icon. Al Jelani, reflecting on nearly a decade and a half of touring history with Jay, put the Yankee Stadium run in the top tier of everything he's worked on alongside Jay-Z's Made in America headline set and the opening of Barclays Center. It was pretty unmatched to have those kind of perfect summer evenings in the Bronx with Jay, he said. In terms of the spectacle, the excitement, what it felt like in the building, the energy was unmatched. You felt and saw how massive his star truly is. Memphis Bleak, who has watched that arc unfold from inside the camp since Reasonable Doubt, put the longevity itself in perspective. Still being relevant and a powerhouse 30 years later is incredible in itself, he said. Asked what the run meant for hip-hop more broadly, Bleak connected it to something bigger than any one artist's catalog. Never did I think hip-hop or the rock were ever going to come this far. But hip-hop is forever just because it's life imitating art. Asked to sum up what the run revealed about Jay-Z as both an artist and businessman, Perez didn't hesitate. She described him as someone who treats triumph and disaster just the same. A paraphrase of Rudyard Kipling's poem, If, which she said captures Hov's temperament under pressure, whether on stage or negotiating a crisis at the gates. He's a prodigy on earth, she asserted, as a human and as an artist and a business person. This guy's the coolest guy in the world. It's unbelievable. There is nobody like him. So that is inside the Jay-Z 30 Yankee Stadium run and giving us a little bit of what's going into the creation of the future shows that are coming throughout this year. I know some of y'all in the comments and in the chat have already bought your tickets or are planning to go, traveling, the whole shebang. I will not. I would love to, but I will not. But if a motherfucker decide they coming to Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, we might have to make some things happen. We might have to move some things around. But at this time, that hasn't been announced. Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider. And I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Y'all be good out there. Peace.
Yeah, family over fame in this bitch, yeah. The glory of living righteous is setting in. My street knowledge and education's a perfect blend. Young mogul, independent, I've been setting trends. The first one from my family to be faithfully wed. Fuck niggas and the horses that they riding on. I see this shit from all angles like a polygon. I'll never politic and the drama be piling on. Father and great son acknowledged like I'm Bobby Bonds. Conversation with my lady about the paper route. 5 sit bank accounts every day I make it count. They down talking my commentary for hating now. Well, I can take it cause I'm bodying your favorite now, please. I can do this shit in my sleep. I been writing for these niggas, y'all read it and weep. I been fighting these niggas if you speak on the street. I'll turn your birthday party into New Year's Eve. Don't let me take it there. We ain't playing fair. This the ATL Southside nigga move. moving furniture like Wayfair. Life on hold, no insurance for your health care. Lifeline gone, so you wanna be a millionaire? Well, let me tell you about this world I built. The women I dodged, the niggas that I read for filth. The sympathy